Have you ever sat back and just wondered who made that blue sky that we under? All the different type of voices of thunder. Send the rain and the shade in the summer. Thing put the moon so high. In the day make the sun pass by. Understanding of the birds how they fly. All things seem to connect like Wi-Fi. Whoa, wait, stop drinking. Now it's time for you.
All right. Shabbat Shalom, family.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, brother. Let me put my seat up. You look a little higher than me. All right. Shabbat Shalom, brothers and sisters. Throughout the four corners of the earth, we'd like to greet you in the name of our Lord and our Savior, Yeshua, but in the name of the Most High, Ahaya. And we give all praise to the Most High, all right? How's everybody doing out there? We want to thank you for coming in on the stream on the Sabbath with us, to go through the scriptures with us and to to be edified and to grow, as Christ's people, right? Let's get right into it, right? Tonight's lesson, right? This came to me, just thinking about our people and how we deal with one another, and how we're supposed to be. Especially, I'm mainly talking about, baptized members, that baptized people who understand, Christ's mission, who understands Christ's doctrine, understanding that we're Israel, and understanding that we're all we got. So this lesson was put together in that spirit to understand that in these last days we gotta try to minimize the variances and the offenses and the battling amongst each other, right? I didn't come up with a title with this lesson, so tonight I'm gonna do something new. Like at the end of the lesson, you guys could title this lesson, and the best one is gonna win. So we're gonna go right into tonight's lesson, right? No, there's no title for tonight, so you guys are gonna be able to fill this one in. A little interactive, session with you guys. So basically, back to what I was speaking about, right? We all know that we're living in the last days, right? And according to the things that we've been speaking about as of late, caring for one another, right? Caring for Christ's flock, right? Being the Most High's chosen people, being the light to the Jews and Gentiles all over the world, right? We have to first, take care of in-house before we can do what? Take care of the world, right? So we're going to examine some things that Christ spoke about, right? And some of the examples that our forefathers left for us to be able to operate in this day and age, right? Because as you can see, when you walk around and what's promoted on TV and social media, and one of the biggest platforms on social media that's geared, to all type of foolishness is what? World Star Hip Hop. Mm-hmm. The majority of things that they stream there is basically, when people fighting, you see two people fighting, and then you just hear somebody shout World Star, and then they just start filming, right? All they're showing is people fighting one another. Majority of it be our people just making a fool out of themselves, right? People arguing, people debating, people, just fueling what the world powers actually want to install into this world, so that way they can ultimately come in and destroy us, to have a reason to come in to destroy us. So we got to be wise enough to understand, like, look, the world is already against us, right? So if the world is already against us, how are we going to be against each other if we're a part of the church, or if we're a part of Christ's flock? You understand? We should leave that for the people that's outside, right? Not for the people that we trust inside, not for the people that we already congregate with. You understand? So basically, I wanted to go into this so that way we can, at the end of this lesson, we could actually examine ourselves, and moving forward, apply this information to our lives and to our walk, so that way we could be better people, not just to the world, but to our friends and families first, because correction starts in-house first, right? So we're going to go to this first scripture, right? We're going to go to Matthew, the 22nd chapter. We're going to start there so we can see and get an insight of what Christ was instituting and what he was teaching. You know, everything that Christ spoke about he used every opportunity when he spoke was to teach, right? So we need to, use these scriptures to investigate how Christ wanted us to be, right? So we're gonna start at Matthew 22, taking it at verse 34. Now let's investigate that. Let's read that real quick.
Matthew chapter 22, starting at verse 34. But when the Pharisees had heard that he had put the Sadducees to silence, they were gathered together. Verse 35. Then one of them, which was a lawyer, asked him a question, tempting him and saying, verse 36, Master, which is the great commandment in the law?
So now here was a lawyer of the Pharisees coming to try to trick Christ or try to tempt him in his words, because that's what all they tried to do. You know, last week as we understood that the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the scribes, they were all paid off by the government. So they had to find a way to belittle Christ in front of the people because he had a large influence. So they figured in their mind, if we could make him look bad in front of the people or ask him a question that he can't answer, the power will go back to us. But let's see how wise Christ was. Go ahead.
Verse 37. Yeshua said unto them, Thou shalt love the Most High Ahia with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. Verse 38. Verse 38. This is the first and great commandment.
So he said they wanted to know what was the greatest commandment in the law, right? Because at the time the understanding was what? We're supposed to keep all the laws. Like if you're in error of breaking one, then you're not keeping the law. So they had to try to trick him to see which one would say we should follow the most. So he gave them an answer, right? He said, love the Most High with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind, right? That's the first and great one, right? What's the second one?
Verse 39.
Yep.
And the second is like unto it.
And the second one is like unto it, which is what?
Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
And he said, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Now, there's a reason why Christ was saying that. And like I said, we're going to investigate what was the purpose of him saying this, right? Go ahead.
Verse 40. On these two commandments hang all the law.
So now he said, on these two commandments hang all the law. So now you could imagine Christ probably just sat back and was like, yeah, what y'all got to say now? Now we're going to give you the understanding of what Christ was talking about. On these two great commandments hangs all the law, right? Loving the Most High with all your mind, all your might, and all your soul, and loving your neighbor as you love yourself. And with these two commandments hangs all the law, right? Self-explanatory to those who can see, right? So now let's see what Christ was getting at. Let's read more about this, right? About this love aspect. He's talking about loving thy neighbor as you love thyself. We're going to the book of John, right? Stay with me, right? John 15 and 10.
John chapter 15, verse 10.
Go ahead.
If ye keep my commandments,
He said, if ye keep my commandments,
ye shall abide in my love.
you shall also abide in my love, right? So basically he's saying here, you can keep the commandments, but you could be without love too. You could do it without loving your neighbor as you love yourself. You could just be following the laws just to follow them. But if you keep the commandments the way he said to keep them, you will also abide in his love. So that means the same love that he has for us, we will be able to display that to one another. Right? Go ahead.
Even as I have kept my Father's commandments.
Go ahead.
And abide in his love.
Verse
11. These things have I spoken unto you, that my joy might remain in you, and that your joy might be full. Verse 12. This is my commandment, that ye love one another as I have loved you.
So you see that? So he's here he's saying it again. You shall love each other as I have loved you. Because there's something that we have to understand when it comes to love, right? The love that Christ is talking about is not the love that we see in this world, where certain people's love is only conditional, based on circumstance, based on how you feel at the moment. But understanding that you're following Christ's commandments and following the Most High's commandments, you actually have an obligation now to love unconditionally, right? Hold that right there, and I want to get this. Matter of fact, go to 1 John. I want to read this so you guys can get an understanding of what love actually is, right? 1 John. 1 John 2. I'm going to get it in 2. Where it says, this is the for this is the love of the Most High. 1 John 5 and 3. That's what I was looking for. 1 John 5 and 3. Read that real quick.
1 John chapter 5 verse 3.
Wait, start at 2.
Start at 2?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's take a look at this so we can understand this word called love, right? Go ahead.
By this we know that we love the children of the Most High.
So now this is how we know we love the children of the Most High. And when he says the children of the Most High, that's basically speaking of those who are in the church, those who are part of Christ's body, those who've made, those who've made the sacrifice and those who made the distinction between being a part of this world and or being a part of Christ's kingdom. This is what it's talking about. It's not talking about the whole creation of mankind. This is talking about those who you build with on a daily basis, right? Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
When we love the Most High and keep his commandments.
See, this is how we know we love each other, when we keep his commandments. So we see that the commandments bring us to loving each other. So that means when even during circumstances when the law comes out to bring a dispute, you understand, there can't be no extra feelings behind how you feel. Right? Read that again.
When we love the Most High and keep his commandments.
When we love the Most High and keep his commandments, what?
For this is the love of the Most High.
For this is the love of the Most High.
That we keep his commandments.
That we keep his commandments. Go ahead.
And his commandments are not grievous.
And his commandments are not grievous. And it's the same thing that Christ was teaching. Right? So through keeping the commandments, right, we would express the highest form of love towards each other. Right? And like I said, there's a reason why Christ was teaching this. Right? And it's going to get clearer as the lesson goes forward. So now let's get some more understanding of this love aspect. Now, some of us might say, how can these two commandments alone make you fulfill all the laws? Paul broke it down. Let's go to Romans. Romans 13. Start at verse 8. Right? So I want to bring this out so you can see what Christ was talking about. And I'm going to show you the purpose why he instituted this, right? Romans 13 and 8.
Romans 13 and 8. Owe no man anything.
Owe no man anything.
But to love one another.
But to love one another.
For he that loveth another hath fulfilled the law.
You see that? So now here Paul is here he is reiterating what Christ already told the Pharisees and the scribes, right? Those two commandments, loving the Most High as you with all your heart, all your mind, and your soul, and loving your neighbor as you love yourself, hangs all the law. Now here goes Paul gonna break it down in layman's terms for those who've missed it the first time, right? Go ahead.
Verse 9. For this thou shalt not commit adultery.
Go ahead.
Thou shalt not kill.
Mm-hmm.
Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness.
Mm-hmm.
Thou shalt not covet.
Mm-hmm.
And if there be any other commandment, it is briefly comprehended in this saying, namely, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
And thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. So that's how you keep all the commandments. Because why? When the children of Israel came out of Egypt, right, the Most High gave them laws, statutes, and commandments to govern themselves as a community or as a nation in their own respective barriers. So basically, these commandments and these laws was written for them to be able to operate within each other, or to operate with one another, I should say. So if you're breaking these, if you don't have love for your neighbor or the person who is in your community, you was actually breaking the law. Because why? Instead of you having love for your brother, now you started stealing from your brother. Now you started to look at your brother or sister's wife, and then you wanted to deal with your brother or sister's wife. Now you're breaking the laws now. You see that? I don't really care about him, so you just tell him what you want to tell him. You could lie to your brother now. You see that? So that was the understanding of what Christ was talking about. You see, loving your neighbor as you love yourself, that keeps you in line with keeping the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments. And by that, that's why Christ said, if you keep them, if you keep my sayings, you will continue in what? In my love. You see that? But now there's a deeper understanding to this, right? Why is this important? Like I said earlier, we're living in the last times. We all understand that. We speak about that all the time. We speak about the prophecies it was written in the scriptures. I mean, by now we should all be scholars in this. But for people who's new coming in and who don't really understand this, we're gonna explain this. So that way, after this lesson, the people who already knew this is reaffirmed already, and the people who's now coming in are learning this, they could have an understanding of what we're about. You see? So like I said, understanding this whole thing about love, right? It's not just an emotion as some of us may feel, or an expression, or like some people just say it loosely, I love you, or I love you this, but you don't really understand what love is. Christ said it himself. He said, greater love than this, than a man to lay down his life for his friend, right? So the word love, you don't just use loosely like that, right? But let's get to what I was talking about. There's something happening in the spiritual realm that if we operate outside of what Christ taught, we will be in danger of this. Let's go to the book of Revelations. We'll be in danger of this. And we have no one to blame but ourselves at the end of this. All right? Revelation, the 12th chapter and verse 17. I want you guys to pay attention and listen to this clearly.
The book of Revelations, chapter 12, verse 17. And the dragon was wroth with the woman.
And he said, and the dragon was wroth with the woman. Now, who is this dragon now? We understand this dragon to be who? Satan, Lucifer. How do we know that? Jump up to verse 9, excuse me.
All right. Verse 9. And the great dragon was cast out.
And the great dragon was cast out. Go ahead.
That old serpent.
Called
the devil.
And
Satan.
You see that? So we understand that this dragon now was wroth according to Revelation 12 and 17. It says the dragon was wroth with the woman, meaning it was mad with the woman. Who's the woman? The woman is the children of Israel, right? Now read that again from the top, verse 17.
Verse 17. And the dragon was wroth with the woman.
See, the dragon was wroth with the woman. Why? Go ahead.
And went to make war with the remnant of her seed.
And went to go make war with the remnant of her seed, right? We understand that the woman represents the children of Israel. I know if you guys came out the Christian church, you would hear that the interpretation of this was what? That the woman represents the church. Now the question is which church? Because there's like a million churches and no one can say who the church is. But the woman represents Israel. And the remnant of her seed is who? The 12 tribes. So we see that the dragon went to go make war with the remnant of her seed. Go ahead. That what?
Which keep the commandments of the Most High.
Which what?
Which keep the commandments of the Most High.
So you see that? So now if you're in error of not keeping the commandments, the dragon has full right to do what? Make war with you. There's something that we have to understand. So it's deeper than just loving. Like when Christ was dropping this and saying you gotta love each other, he understood what this whole battle was about. That the dragon, according to the end time prophecy, was that he would be wroth with the woman and do what? Go ahead, read it from the top again.
And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of the Most High.
See, go ahead.
And have the testimonies of Yeshua Christ.
You see, and have the testimonies of Yeshua Christ. What was the testimony? Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Okay, those are the greatest commandments. So if you're keeping the greatest commandments, the dragon or Satan or Lucifer and his minions have no power over you. You see that? But even though that we are keeping them, he still has an issue with us. That means he's watching to see when he can enter, at what point he can enter. The minute you're not keeping those commandments, he can enter in. We have to understand that. And that whole thing about love now, if that love is not present and he sees that, that's an opportunity for Satan and his angels to come in and attack and do battle. Right? We're going to get that information for you. So I'm just trying to show you, you understand, from the littlest things that we can examine one little scripture and see the whole grand scheme of what Christ was showing, right? So we see that the dragon was wroth with the woman, and now he has a problem with those who's keeping the commandments, right? And we see that the greatest commandments that Christ told us to keep is what? Loving loving your neighbor as you love yourself, and loving the Most High with everything that you got, right? Now, let's see, how is Satan able to make war with the saints, to attack the woman's seed? How is he able to attack us? You understand? And you're going to see that by the end of this lesson, you're going to see and you're going to understand when Satan is attacking. You're going to know, because it's going to be pretty evident by what we're going to go into right now. Going to the book of Enoch, right? Going into the book of Enoch to show how Satan is able to come in and to destroy a family and to destroy a community. I was going to give you mine. I'm not going to read from it.
Oh, you're not going to read it?
Yeah.
Thank you, though. The why.
So we going into the book of Enoch, chapter 8. Right? Page 43. Go into the book of Enoch. And for those of you who don't believe in the book of Enoch, okay, the prophets was reading the book of Enoch. Jude, when you read the book of Jude, Jude explains the testimony of Enoch. So Enoch is a reputable book that we read from, and it has this information in here. Without this book, you won't understand what happened pre-flood. Mm-hmm. You understand? So now, here it is. This is how Satan is able to come in and do battle with the remnant of Israel's seed, right? Come in to destroy families and destroy friendships, okay? And now you're going to understand why these people in the street, you see, everybody's fighting, killing each other. They're crazy because they're not keeping the commandments of the Most High, right? So the book of Enoch 8, start at verse 8. Right?
Okay, Enoch chapter 8, we're going to start at verse 8.
Keep going.
And now the giants which are produced from the spirits and flesh shall be called evil spirits upon the earth.
So now this is the judgment that was given to the giants that was produced between the angels and the women flesh. Because if you understand the history, if you read the book of Enoch, and even when you read Genesis 6, right? We see that the most, the giants the angels came down and slept with women and produced giants on the earth. It tells you that in Genesis 6. So now, the book of Genesis don't actually go into detail of how they was produced, right? The book of Enoch tells you the full story. So now the Most High's judgment on the giants that was produced, right? When they was destroyed during the flood, right? Their spirits, would become evil spirits on the earth. Read that again.
And now the giants which are produced from the spirits and flesh shall be called evil spirits upon the earth.
See, they shall be called evil spirits upon the earth, right? So now let's investigate what these evil spirits will do to mankind. Go ahead.
And on the earth shall be their dwelling.
And on the earth shall be where?
Their dwelling.
Shall be their dwelling. You understand? Because the Most High didn't create a place for them until after the day of consummation, or after the judgment day. They will be cast into the lake of fire with Satan. That will be their permanent dwelling, lake of fire. But when the giants, when they died, their souls remain, or their spirits remained here on earth. Not as, man and womankind. When we die, our spirits either goes to the place of rest or to the place of torments. You understand? Which is held inside of the earth. But go ahead.
Verse 9. Evil spirits have proceeded from their bodies.
You see that? Evil spirits have proceeded from their bodies, and what?
Because they are born from men and from the holy watchers.
You see that? So they are born from men and holy watchers, right? See, that was the angels mixing their blood, or their being with human beings, or with mankind and womankind. Go ahead.
Because they are born from men and from the holy watchers is their beginning and primal origin.
Because the Most High did not create them. You see that? Go ahead.
They shall be evil spirits on earth.
See, they shall be evil spirits on earth. And what is their mission now, since they are evil spirits?
And evil spirits shall they be called.
An evil spirit shall they be called to do what?
As for the spirits of heaven, in heaven shall be their dwelling.
Mm-hmm.
But as for the spirits of the earth, which were born upon the earth, on the earth shall be their dwelling. And the spirits of the giants afflict.
See, so the evil spirits, the spirits of the giants, they do what?
Afflict.
They afflict. So every time you see affliction happening, that's an evil spirit. Go ahead.
Oppress.
When they oppress, that's an evil spirit.
Destroy.
When they destroy, that's an evil spirit.
Attack.
And when they attack, when you see people attacking each other, that is an evil spirit.
Do battle.
When they do battle, that's an evil spirit.
And work destruction
And work destruction
on the earth.
on the earth, that's an evil spirit. You see that?
And cause trouble.
And they do what?
And cause trouble.
And they also cause trouble. So when you see trouble happening and people acting in mischief and destroying and fighting, evil spirits is present. When people can't get along, evil spirits are present. You got to understand that. Go ahead.
They take no food,
See, they take no food,
but nevertheless hunger.
but nevertheless hunger. How do they hunger? Because why? Evil spirits possess people, and they fulfill their lust through flesh, through people. Because why? They can no longer become flesh. So what they do? They inhabit the souls, the bodies of people to do their bidding. You see that? Go ahead.
I'm going to read it from the top again. They take no food, but nevertheless hunger and thirst.
Yep.
And cause offenses.
And they do what?
Cause offenses.
And cause offenses. So when people are easily offended, that's an evil spirit present. I mean, you can't even correct anybody no more, because why? These evil spirits will convince you, like, nah, that brother's wilding. He's out of control. Like, I ain't do that. See, now you can't even correct each other no more, because why? These evil spirits has tapped into your emotions to make you feel a certain way when everybody's trying to tell you, like, yo, look, you okay? Like, we notice you doing this. Now the evil spirit is present. And now you get offended. What? Come on, you ain't talking to me like, you see that? So these evil spirits are present. And we gotta be like, us being believers and being, followers of Christ. So we have to be on top of that. Okay? We gotta make sure that that's not amongst us. Okay? Because these evil spirits, they have a problem with us. They're helping Satan make war with us. You gotta understand that we had war with something greater than we can even see. You see that? So if we understand that we're at war with spirits, why are we warring with each other? Why can't we fix the simplest things amongst us? We gotta always examine that. Right? Is that it on that, or is there more?
Oh, just a little bit more.
Go ahead.
And these spirits shall rise up against the children of men.
They shall what?
They shall rise up against the children of men.
You see that? So not only will Satan use them to destroy the children of Israel, but to destroy all humanity. Because why? He hates all creation. Satan hates all creation. We understand he hates creation because why? That spirit of homosexuality is against creation. You see that? And that's one of his main tools he used to destroy. That's a subtle tool. It's very clever. But that's a destructive action. A lot of people don't examine that. But go ahead, read that again.
And these spirits shall rise up against the children of men.
They shall rise up against the children of men.
And against the woman, because they have proceeded from them.
And against who?
And against the woman.
And against the woman.
Because they have proceeded from them.
Because they have proceeded from them. So that means the people on this earth who would be attacked at a higher level would be women. Because why? They're against the woman because why? They came from women. They were born from women. So this is why emotionally, women are designed differently. That's why the scripture tells us, we gotta watch over our women, because why? Because it wasn't Adam that sinned. Paul tells us that. He speaks about that. It was Eve that first sinned, right? So Satan, understanding that, knew how to manipulate Eve to sin. So you see that? So we see here why And we're starting to understand now why Christ was always saying, love your neighbor as you love yourself. No greater love than this. You got to keep loving. Always love, 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 love. Right? And as Paul said, love worketh no ill. You see that? Wherever love is present, you understand? There could be no anger and strife. It won't work no ill. So if everybody love each other, what harm can come from that? Basically what Paul was trying to show. You see that? So we see the primal origin of these demons, right? And how Satan is able to implement his plan of destruction on the children of Israel and now the world. We see it evident. We see it happening every day, right? Even amongst us, sometimes we see it operating, but we got to be able to snatch it out of there and be able to deal with the situation before it gets worse. Because Satan he likes to play on the emotions, right? The minute he see people not seeing eye to eye, that's the opportunity that he has to go in to fuel it more, send more, and say like, I'm gonna send more evil spirits. Go ahead. You understand that? Now we see why divorce is at such a high rate. You understand? Single homes. Just because, why? That general rule of loving your neighbor as you love yourself, it's not being followed throughout the four corners of the earth. It's not being followed. So we have to, understand that. And when we see these things happening, we got to be able to address it before it gets worse, right? That's it on the book of Enoch, right? So with understanding that, right? Here's what we're going to go back to what Paul was saying concerning, how to protect ourselves from these evil spirits, right? Let's go to Ephesians 6 and 10. I want you to start at verse 10 now. Go ahead.
Ephesians chapter 6, verse 10. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Most High.
See, be strong in the Most High. Go ahead.
And in the power of his might. Verse 11, put on the whole armor of the Most High.
So now why is he saying put on the whole armor of the Most High? Let's see why he's talking about. Put on the whole armor, and he's going to break down this armor for us, so that way if we have this armor on, right, we could withstand anything. Go ahead.
That ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil.
You see that? Now we could be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. Now we're getting an insight on how Satan is able to do battle with the remnant of her seed. Because a lot of us don't have on this armor. Go ahead.
Verse 12. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood.
You see that? We wrestle not against flesh and blood. And we understand that now because why? We just went into the book of Enoch to see what evil spirits are responsible for. See, this is what Paul was talking about when he said we wrestle not against flesh and blood. So there could be someone in your own household, you fighting with that person, but you're not fighting that person. There's a spirit that you're fighting against that has to be addressed. Read it again.
Verse 12. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood.
We wrestle not against flesh and blood.
But against principalities.
Against powers.
Against the rulers of the darkness of this world.
You see that? Against the rulers of the darkness of this world. We understand that Satan owns this world, along with his minions, to work out his will on this earth until his judgment. You see that? Go ahead. Verse.
The ending of verse 12.
Yep.
Against spiritual wickedness in high places.
Against spiritual wickedness in high places. Evil spirits. Go ahead.
Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of the Most High.
So now because this is happening, because we're subject to wrestling not with flesh and blood, but with spirits, the armor of the Most High will help us during these attacks. Right? Go ahead.
That ye may be able to withstand in the evil day.
You see that? That you may be able to withstand in the evil day. Go ahead.
And having done all to stand.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Verse 14.
Verse 14. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth.
So you see, we got to have our loins girt about with truth. And we know that the truth is the law. So when we're going in to assess a situation, the law got to be present. Judging everything in righteousness. Go ahead.
And having on the breastplate of righteousness.
See? Having on the breastplate of righteousness. And we understand that there's no righteousness but the righteousness of the Most High. Is by His standards. So if things are not being done by His standards, then that's how we can figure out where the error is coming from. You see that? Go ahead.
Verse 15. And your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace.
See that? So that means by the end of the conflict, there should be a resolve of peace. Not you doing your own thing and I'm doing my own thing, but yeah, we're going to try to make it work. No, we got to come to an agreement to how we're going to sort this thing out. Because if there's any division in that household, Satan has all right, you understand, to come in and do battle and attack. It's that simple and it's that easy to understand. Go ahead.
Verse 16. Above all, taking the shield of faith.
Taking the shield of faith. Go ahead.
Wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked.
You see that? Not only are you using the laws, but you're using faith. Understanding that the Most High is going to protect you, you know, through any situation that you're going through. And you and your family and your friends will be able to overcome any situation that might spring up out of nowhere. Go ahead.
Verse 17. And take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of the Most High.
You see that? Using Christ. The word of the Most High is Christ. So Christ got to be in the midst. You got to do things as Christ said to do it. Resolving your issues the way Christ said to resolve it. You see that? Go ahead.
Verse 18. Praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints.
And also, by having the armor of the Most High, the last part of that armor is always praying for the saints, praying for one another, sending your supplication to intercede for someone who's struggling. That's how we withstand the wiles of the devil, right? So you see how it's all coming together, right? So now, with that being said, let's get another example of one of our forefathers who was identifying, okay, these spirits that actually come in through sin, okay? And we're going to go into the 12 patriarchs, right? It's in the Studio Grapha, but I bought the book, the small book. You know, you always want to get the R.H. Charles translation. So we're going to read one of the testaments of one of the forefathers who was explaining to his sons on his deathbed what to look out for. You understand? When you're living in error, when you're living in sin, or you're not considering one another, right? Let's go to the book of the 12 patriarchs. We're going to read the Testament of Reuben. Go to page 26 in that book. Yeah.
Start at verse 8.
Yeah. Well, this whole passage.
This whole passage. All right. No
So
problem.
this is the Testament of Reuben we're reading from. Now, and we're reading under the section that's called the 7 spirits of deceit. And we know that the 7 spirits of deceit can't come from the Most High. So let's read that.
All right, I'm going to start at the 7 spirits of deceit. And now hear me, my children, what things I saw concerning the 7 spirits of deceit when I repented.
You see that? So it took him to when Reuben was able to repent from his sin, and we understand what his sin was when he slept with one of his father's wives, right? When he repented, he was able to see his faults. He was able to see how he was able to be deceived by the spirits of deceit. See that? When he was living in sin, those spirits was able to come in to cause him to do otherwise. Go ahead.
Verse 2. 7 spirits therefore are appointed against men, and they are the leaders in the works of youth.
You see, and they are the leaders of the works of youth in young people. You see that? So it starts from your youth. and you carry on those spirits until you're in your old age. That's how people develop bad habits. See that? Go ahead.
And 7 other spirits are given to him at his creation, that through them should be done every work of man.
So you see that? So through our creation, there was 7 original spirits that was already given to us, that the Most High gave to us. But then through the sin of Adam, another 7 set of spirits was able to come in outside of that. Go ahead.
The first is the spirit of life.
See, the first is the spirit of life. We got the Most High grants us life. Right? Go ahead.
With which the constitution of man is created. The second is the sense of sight.
See, that's another spirit that we was given through life. The sense of sight. We can see, right? Go ahead.
With which ariseth desire. Verse 5. The third is the sense of hearing, with which cometh teaching. The fourth is the sense of smell, with which taste is given to draw air and breath. The fifth is the power of speech, with which cometh knowledge. The sixth is the sense of taste, with which cometh the eating of meats and drinks, and by its strength is produced, for in food is the foundation of strength. The seventh is the power of procreation and sexual intercourse, with which, through love of pleasure, sin enter in.
So we see, even with the last spirit that we was given, it could be either used for creation or sin. So these are the 7 spirits that the Most High granted to all mankind. You see that? And in the world, they'll call it what? They call it the 6 senses, right? Well, go ahead.
Where therefore it is the last in order of creation, and the first in that of youth, because it is filled with ignorance, and leadeth the youth as a blind man to a pit, and as a beast to its precipice.
Right? So you see that? So you see the last sense that we was given. See, it leadeth people in ignorance. Right? Lustful desires, youthful lustful desires and stuff like that. So these are the 7 spirits that we was given from birth. But now let's look at the 7 spirits of deceit. Go ahead.
Besides all these, there is an 8th spirit of sleep, with which is brought about the trance of nature and the image of death. With these spirits are mingled the spirits of error. First,
so now let's go into the spirits of error. Go ahead.
First, the spirit of fornication.
See, the spirit of fornication. See, we spoke about that just now when he said the 7th spirit.
Is seated in the nature and in the senses.
You see, it's seated in the senses and in the nature. So it's in everybody's nature to do that act, but you have to overcome that. Through this, you see that? You see what the sin of Adam brought in? It's in our nature. You know that this is why Paul said. This is why Paul said in Romans 7. He said this. He said the things that I would want to do, I do not, and the things that I should do, I can't do. Why? Because he didn't have the law. He wasn't using the law. So he said, I look to the law to know that what? Thou shalt not covet. You see that? Go ahead.
The second, the spirit of insatiableness.
The spirit of insatiableness.
In the belly.
In the belly. So people who are obese. There's a difference between people who's overweight and people who are obese. There's a difference. Those people, see, he said there's a spirit of insatiableness, in the belly. Always want to eat and eat and eat and eat. There's a spirit present there. Right?
Never satisfied.
You're never satisfied. Right? Then now you see people having all sorts of ulcers, and there's a show out called My 600-Pound Life.
I was just about to say that.
Where people just so big that they can't even get out the position that they started in.
They're condoning the insatiableness.
Yeah. So it's like that's a spirit that's present. So we got to be able to nip that in the butt when we see that. Like, you're not going to be in here eating up everything that we got stored up. You understand? So you got to be able to identify that. That's a spirit of error. Go ahead.
The third, the spirit of fighting in the liver and gall.
The spirit of fighting in the liver and gall. You know what that's talking about? That's talking about those who always have the urge to fight. Like before you get angry, you feel it in your stomach, like, oh, and you feel your heart racing. That's what that's talking about. That's the spirit of error. Somebody could just be genuinely coming to you just to talk to you, and then you just get tight. You understand? Go ahead. So that's in all of our nature. So we got to learn to overcome that. Go ahead.
The fourth is the spirit of obsequiousness. Obsequiousness, sorry. And
chicanery. That's people who know how to get out of situations by using sly words and can convince people to do error. You got that's a gift. Or that's actually, I want to say a gift. That's a spirit that people inherit. Knowing how to con people. You're a con artist. Huh? You like to, yeah, you know how to manipulate people by how you speak. Go ahead.
That through officious attention,
see,
one may be fair in seeming.
See, one may be fair in seeming. Because you know how to talk a good talk. That's evil. That's a spirit of error. When you know you're wrong, but you're convincing everybody that you're right. You start crying, well, you know, I never meant to do this. And then you crying, everybody get on your side now. But we didn't address the problem. You see that? Go ahead. That's in everybody's nature to try to seem right. You see that? Go ahead.
The fifth is the spirit of pride.
The fifth is the spirit of what?
Of pride.
The spirit of pride. And that's one of the things that the Most High hate. The prideful look. You see that?
That one may be boastful and arrogant.
One may be boastful and arrogant. See that? Go ahead.
The sixth is the spirit of lying.
The spirit of lying. So it's in everyone's nature to just want to lie for the littlest thing. I put a quarter on the table. Anybody see my quarter? And it's in your pocket. Nah, what quarter? I didn't see that. You understand? It's just lying for the littlest things. Go ahead.
In perdition and in jealousy to practice deceits and concealment from kindred and concealment, from kindred and friends.
You see, concealing things from your family and your friends. Go ahead.
The seventh is the spirit of injustice.
See, the spirit of injustice. Go ahead.
With which are thefts and acts of rapacy, that a man may fulfill the desire of his heart. For injustice worketh together with the other spirits by the taking of gifts. And with all these, the spirit of sleep is joined, which is that of error and fantasy.
So you see that? So the spirit of
sleep.
No, before the injustice. The spirit of injustice. You see that? Now you understand why the Most High had to give us laws. So that way we know how to govern each other righteously, not just how you feel at the time. Because everybody want to be taken care of. Everybody want their own views to be right over somebody else's views. Now you see why they so big on debates and stuff like that, and why they promote that on TV. They debate sports, they debate politics. Everybody want their point to be heard, but the true point should be the point that's been measured to the standards of the Most High.
Do you mind if I add something real quick? When I read the spirit of sleep, it's kind of what Paul was talking about when they say many shall go asleep, but they shall rise again. The Most High had to put the spirit of death to show us that all these spirits of error leads to death. That's why he said the spirit of sleep is joined to these other spirits. So
the spirit, yeah, exactly. The spirit of sleep is joined with all these spirits. Because why? Like the brother just said, the wages of sin is what? It's death. So through all those spirits of error has been joined the spirit of sleep, when you ultimately will die if you don't repent. You see that? Go ahead.
And so perish every young man.
See, and so perish every young man,
darkening his mind.
Darkening his mind from what?
From the truth.
From the truth.
And not understanding the law of the Most High, nor obeying the admonish
The admonishing
of his fathers,
of his fathers, go ahead.
as befell me also in my youth.
So you see that? So when you're operating in these spirits, you cannot be corrected. You're not taking admonishment according to the scriptures. You're not when you're in the wrong and somebody's bringing up the scripture like, according to this, you shouldn't be doing this. Well, I hear what you're saying, but this is what I feel right now. The spirits of error is heavy right now. I'm seeing that. That's when you can't get through to somebody through the scriptures, just know that the spirit of error is there.
Oh, yeah.
But they're not trying to admit that because the spirit of error is convincing them like, nah, keep going. Nah, you good. Like, don't worry about it. You know what you're talking about. As long as you know what you're talking about, nobody cares. It don't matter. And you telling yourself that, and now you're crazy, and now everybody's looking at you like, yo.
That's that spirit of pride.
It's the spirit of pride. Like, yo, we reading the scriptures. And you supposed to know these scriptures, but the spirit of error is convincing you like, yo, ain't nothing wrong with me.
The funny thing, most of the time they'll agree with you and be like, I understand what you're saying.
But when you hear that but, know that the spirit of error is there. I'm not just saying, it's not just me, it's the scriptures showing that. You can't take correction and say, but it's like you get caught robbing a bank. Yeah, sir, we caught you robbing the bank. There was a gun in your hand and a money bag. What do you have to say? Yeah, I robbed the bank, but the reason why no, you robbed the bank. What else is there to say? You can't justify that. So that's basically what the spirits of error brings in. And we got to make sure we watch that, because why? Every young person from young until their old age, error in that. That spirit attaches itself to a personality. Like I said earlier, that's how you develop a bad habit. You understand? And this is how Satan is able to continue to do war with our people. We can't be like, we got to be able to understand that this is happening to us and be able to correct every little situation. It don't matter how big the situation or how little the situation is. You got to be able to just forgive. You got to be able to forgive. You got to. Because without forgiveness, there's no love. How you going to ask for forgiveness? How you going to ask the Most High for forgiveness and you can't forgive each other? Right? So that's it on that, right?
Yeah, that's it.
So we see, this is how Satan is, and look how he's doing. Look how many ways Satan has to come in and destroy what Christ is trying to build. Right? All because we're not loving each other now. So that one commandment could mess up the whole thing. Everything that was set up could be messed up, and Satan could come in and destroy, because why? We're not operating in loving thy neighbors as we love thyself. And I'm talking about in-house first, right? Go to Matthew 24:12. This is the reason why we need to be operating in this even now more than ever, in this time period that we're in, right? This is the reason why we need to be operating according to how Christ said. Because why? Read that.
I'm going to start at verse 11.
Yeah.
Matthew chapter 24, verse 11.
Uh-huh.
And many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound.
And because sin shall be so heavily abounded on the earth in the last days, what?
The love of many shall wax cold.
The what?
The love of many shall wax cold.
So that means people will generally not have that love that you have for your neighbor, because why? You're living in sin. The spirits of error is present. You're not keeping the commandments that Christ said to keep. That's why the love of many has waxed cold. Now you see how Satan is able to, according to Revelations 12:17. Now we see how Satan is able to come in and destroy now, because the love of many has waxed cold. When all we had to do was love each other and forgive each other, that's all we need to do. But we can't do that. So now the world is in a state of turmoil. You see? So now we understand why we need to be operating with love amongst each other during these times now more than ever. Because we're living in a time where it just take a little thing for somebody to get set off now. This is the time period we live in. We just got to know that and adjust to it. Right? Go to Colossians. So now with that understanding, right? Paul was giving us the blueprint on how to protect our households and as well as the church, or the flock of the Most High's sheep, or the flock of Christ's sheep, how to keep us all in line, starting with the family first. Because why? If the family on earth is a representation of the heavenly one. Okay, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. So who better than Satan to do battle against than the family structure first? Because we got to understand, Satan hates the Most High and hates the image of the Most High. Because why? We understand that Satan didn't want to bow down to the image of the Most High, which was Adam. So we understand that Satan hates the image of the Most High. And the image of the Most High is what? Man, woman, and child. Family. That's the representation of the heavenly one. So if Satan is against the Most High, he would naturally be against the family. So this is what you got to be, like, men, you got to be able to watch for this. Women, you got to be able to watch for this in your homes. This is the first form of attack, a point of attack. Read that. Colossians 3:18.
Colossians chapter 3, verse 18. Wives, submit yourself unto your own husbands.
Wives, do what?
Submit yourself unto your own husbands.
Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands. Go ahead.
As it is fit in the Most High.
As it is fit in the Most High. Meaning you're not going against your husband. Even no matter what's going on in the household, you're not going against your husband. Point blank, period. It's not talking about when he's saying the word submit, and you see that, and that's where the English language have its flaws. People automatically see submit, and women want to turn around and say, you want me to bow to you? You want me to kiss your feet? No. Right? Matter of fact, let me get the word submit in the Greek, so that way there's no errors. Right? It says to subordinate. You see? Reflective, to obey. Be under obedience. Right? Put under, subdue unto, be, make, subject, in subjection. Meaning you're not operating on your own. That's basically what that means. When Paul was saying, wives, submit to your husband, wives, submit to your husbands, the wives is not able to submit, is not able to operate outside of her family, making decisions on her own, because we've seen what happened to Eve when she operated outside of Adam, i.e., what we have today on this earth. So it's very important for the women not to operate, or the wives not to operate outside of their husbands, despite their disagreement, despite what's happening. Right? Not saying to keep yourself in harm's way if you're living with a murderer, right? Well, I'm not telling you to stay in that situation, right? But in little disagreements, wives have to still submit to their own husbands, right? You dealing with your problems in-house first before you go anywhere else, right? Go ahead.
Verse 19. Husbands, love your wives and be not bitter against them.
You see that? And this is for husbands who's dealing with a woman who's not submissive. Or a woman, or a husband who's just angry at his wife for whatever reason. It says, and be not bitter towards her. You see that? So it only takes love to view each other that way, despite what y'all going through. So we got to be able to identify that in the household first. So that way we don't let that come out and have the world see that. You see that? So it's starting with the family structure first. Read that again. Read verse 19 again.
Verse 19. Husbands, love your wives and be not bitter against them.
And be not bitter against them. You understand? And it's going to be hard to do that if you're living with somebody who's trying to be above the man. The Most High didn't create the woman to be above the man. You see that? So it starts with the woman being submissive to the husband, and now the husband can love her without being bitter towards her. And even if you're dealing with a woman who's not submissive, you still gotta operate with that same love for her, and be like, you know what, I ain't dealing with this woman, like, she's crazy. I don't know. I'm telling her don't do this. She's not listening to me. You gotta keep trying and keep fighting, because why? Satan will use that to separate you guys. So it's both parties gotta be submissive to each other. Both parties gotta take the L. Oh, I'm not doing that because she gotta be listening to me. I'm the man. But sometimes you still have to be like, yo, you gotta sympathize with our women, because why? They follow their emotions. We read in the book of Enoch that the evil spirits do battle with them even more so than us. So we got to be able to analyze that and sympathize with them and give in a little bit to some of their demands. But I'm not talking about some crazy outlandish demands. You know what I'm saying?
Verse 20.
Verse 20, go ahead.
Children, obey your parents in all things.
You see that? Children, obey your parents in all things. If you still live under the roof of your parents, you must still obey your parents. Okay? You have to have respect for your parents. Even though if you feel like you have more education than your parents, that doesn't give you the right to exalt yourself above your parents. Because why? They made you. They've brought you into this world. So you have to show respect, because if you can't respect your parents, how are you going to respect the Most High? You see that? And if you can't, and this goes for brothers and sisters who's looking to get married. If you noticing while you courting, your significant other has no respect for their parents, just keep that in mind, that they're not going to have respect for you in the long run. So it's important for the children to learn that at a young age, to respect their parents. Because why? There's gonna be a time you're gonna become somebody's wife, and you're gonna become somebody's husband. You see, so you see how it all works together to keep the family structure in love, right?
The ending of verse 20.
Yep.
For this is well pleasing unto the Most High.
For this is well pleasing unto the Most High. You see that? So with that, the Most High will bless your household and keep that hedge of covering. Now your family has the full armor of the Most High in the household first. Right? Go ahead.
Verse 21.
Yep.
Fathers, provoke not your children to anger.
Do what?
Provoke not your children to anger.
So fathers, we are responsible not to provoke our children to anger. Go ahead.
Lest they be discouraged.
Lest they be discouraged. You see that? Always coming down on them, because they're not what you want them to be. The scripture says, train up a child in the way he should go, and he shall never depart. So once you're doing that, you may have had in your mind you want your son or daughter to be a doctor, but they find out they wanted to be a fisherman. You can't discourage them and discourage their dreams. Like, you ain't never gonna be nothing. Look at you, a fisherman. You supposed to be a doctor. No, you want me to be a doctor. Don't discourage me in what I want to do. You understand? So we got to train them in the way they should go, so that way they can never depart. And we got to make sure that we're not hard on them. Understanding that they're still learning. Right? Because I remember growing up, they would in church, they would read verse 20 and never read the verse after that. Like, you better obey your parents before you live long in the earth. But what about the children that's dealing with parents who's just always crazy? Right? How do you operate with parents that you're like? How you still obey that? How you supposed to honor them as you still honor them, even though they're trying to discourage you? Right? Taking the L, like I said earlier. Right? So we got to be able to have our households in order, so that way Satan can't destroy that, because he's looking to destroy that first. The family. And that's the first thing Satan looks to destroy. Newlyweds. Okay? Trust me. Because you got to understand, when it comes to marriage, there's two different walks of life coming together to be one. You never lived with this person before. So there's going to be some things that you're going to have to learn and get used to. That's just and Satan likes to use that to be like, you know what, this is not for me. I don't think this is the person I was supposed to be with. You're letting Satan win now because you're not willing to love each other as you love yourself. See that? So we got to understand how to fix family first. Taking care of that. Let's go to Luke. Luke 6, verse 31.
On to Luke chapter 6, and we're going to start at verse 31. And as ye would that men should do to you, do ye also to them likewise.
Read that again.
Verse 31. And as ye would that men should do to you, do ye also to them likewise.
So what you would want to be done to you by other people, you should in turn operate like that, knowing that that's how you want to be treated. Right? So if you operate like that, if you know that you wouldn't want somebody to disrespect you, that means you're not supposed to walk around disrespecting people. If you know that you don't want people lying to you, okay, you shouldn't go around lying to people. You see, so that's how you keep that flow of love operating continually. Because and that's why the world is so crazy. I'm telling you right now, there's a lot of selfish people in this world. People are selfish. Okay? Because they're not operating in love. I see people doing things to somebody else, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, yo, what if somebody was to do that to you? How would you feel? No one ever thinks about how they would feel, but they just doing it. Because why? The spirit of error. So we can't operate like that. If you want to be loved, you got to love people. If you want to feel a certain way, you got to make sure you're making people feel that way too. It's not just it's not just me. It's a give and take. So I would do this for you because I know I would want you to do that for me. That if we all started thinking like that, this world would be a better place. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 32. For if ye love them which love you,
if you love them that which love you,
what think have ye?
What think have ye? Like, how are you? Like, who's gonna praise you for that? I mean, it's natural to love somebody that's loving you, right? Go ahead.
For sinners also love those that love them.
You see that? Even sinners do that. Sinners comprehend that. Right?
Verse 33. And if ye do good to them which do good to you, what thank have ye?
What thank have ye?
For sinners also do even the same.
See, even sinners do this. So we got to operate outside of what sinners is doing. A sinner could easily love somebody. It's okay. But they still living in sin though. So what's going to separate us from the sinners? Go ahead.
Verse 34. And if ye lend to them of whom ye hope to receive, what thank have ye? For sinners also lend to sinners, lo, receive as much again.
You see that? So now we got to find out what's going to separate us from sinners. Go ahead.
Verse 35. But love ye your enemies.
You see what?
Love ye your enemies.
So now a lot of people like to use this scripture out of context and try to say, what kind of God would tell me to love my enemies? Is this talking about somebody who's physically trying to kill you?
Nope.
No, it's not. Mind you, these laws was given to a community of people. People who had friendships with each other. Because the people in your own household can become your enemy. You got to understand. Matter of fact, let's read the word enemy in the Greek.
Let's get that.
Enemies. It says to hate. Okay, hateful. It says an adversary. So somebody that you are against. It could be through ideologies, or you're against somebody just for the moment because they offended you. So it's not talking about an enemy, a sworn enemy that's trying to kill you and seek your life. Here's somebody else trying to kill you with a gun and like saying, nah, don't kill me, man. I love you, man. Come here. You got to fight for your life. But this is talking about your enemy, which is your neighbor. This is talking about someone somebody who you already loved already, but you can't see eye to eye to them. Are you willing to look past your disagreement with that person to show them the ultimate form of love? Read that again.
Verse 35.
Yeah.
But love ye your enemies and do good and lend.
See, and do good and lend. So you may not be seeing eye to eye with your brother, but you still have to, help that brother or sister. That's how you show the ultimate form of love. You may have had a disagreement. You may have had a disagreement in the house, but you don't change how you act in the household because you feel a certain way. You're supposed to still operate with that person, because why? Sinners do it all the time, and they don't have no sense of right from wrong. They're reprobates. So what makes that make us better than reprobates? When we're able to look past our little issues amongst each other and still operate in love, because Christ would have did it. Go ahead.
But love ye your enemies and do good and lend.
And do good and lend.
Hoping for nothing again.
Hoping for nothing again. Because why? You would do it because you would want them to do it for you. If you was down and out and you was hurt. Go ahead.
And your reward shall be great, and ye shall be the children of the highest.
Go
for
ahead.
he is kind unto the unthankful and to the evil.
See, because he is even kind to the unthankful and the evil. He's allowing them space to operate even though in their sin. Go ahead.
Verse 36. Be ye therefore merciful.
Be ye therefore merciful.
As your Father also is merciful.
As the Most High is also merciful. So we have to be able to be merciful with each other, despite whatever we've done to each other. That's the only way we're gonna make it out of this. We got Satan, and his demons fighting against us in the spirit, and we fighting against each other in the flesh. Do you see that now? Can you guys actually see that? You got Satan and his demons fighting against us every day, and then you coming home and you fighting the brothers and sisters that you're supposed to love. We got to be merciful, despite what the issue is. And with that's the lesson right there. We got to understand how to operate with this love that Christ was talking about. And and now through this lesson, we see the impact of what this love can do if we're not operating in it. You see, and we just examine all the things that could happen to it. The spirit of error could come in. 7 spirits of deceit. Now Satan got full right to destroy you and your family and your friends. But if we was to operate in this spirit of love now, nothing can overcome us. Nothing can separate us from the love of the Most High. You had a scripture?
You can continue talking. I'm gonna bring something out soon.
You see that? So that's basically what I wanted to put out there, because we're living in these, like I said, we're living in these last days. We need as much of our support from each other as we can get. We can't let little disagreements, little situations come in, and now you know what I'm saying, you want to leave your family, or you want to leave your church, or you want to leave your brothers and sisters who's been fighting for you this whole time, and trying to congregating with you and building with you. We can't allow these little things to affect us, because we see that's what Satan is looking for. He's looking for that. So us being wise, we got to be able to stop it before it happens. Right?
Yeah, I have a scripture. Matthew chapter 18 and start at verse 7.
Yeah, Matthew 18. Go ahead.
It says, "Woe unto the world because of offenses.
See, Christ said, woe unto the world because of offenses.
For it must be that offenses come, but woe to that man by whom the offenses cometh." And when you go into the Greek, and then you go to the Strong's Concordance and then tap on the word offenses, I think it's G4625. It says a scandal.
A scandal.
Probably from a derivative of G2578. And it says a trapstick, bent slapping, that is snare and cause of displeasure or sin, occasion to fall, of stumbling, that offense, the thing that offends, stumbling block.
A stumbling block.
So when you look at the word offenses, and you see that in the book of Enoch, these spirits cause offenses to the brothers and sisters, it's really a stumbling block in your body. They put that there for not only for you to fall, but for everybody.
Everybody to feel it, because we're all part of the same body. So if one is feeling something, the whole body will ultimately feel and get affected by that. You see that? So we understand offenses is going to come. It's going to happen. These spirits is out here, but we have to be able to overcome them. Khan. All praises for that.
All praises the Most High.
So now we're gonna go to the comment section real quick. Like I said, I'm giving you guys the opportunity to title this lesson. Right?
Want to start
Shabbat Shalom. You go ahead.
All right. Shabbat Shalom. Intro was off the hook. Excuse my lingo. I'm over 40.
Nah, don't worry about it. I understand that lingo. Off the hook. That's the regular terms. I don't know about this lit and that's the new generation. But all praises to the Most High, Ak, and Shabbat Shalom.
All praises to the Most High. Thank
Khan.
you. That was by Linzel Lot. Brianna Griffith. Shabbat Shalom. Blessings to all that on this Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom, sister Brianna. Right?
This one says, I think it says G Loso Wavy.
Gioso Wavy.
It says liking this song, Ak.
All praises to the Most High. Give all praise to the Most High for that song.
All praise to the Most
Yeah.
High. Twan Lambo says Shabbat Shalom, family.
Shabbat Shalom, Ak.
You can scroll down a little bit. Hope you guys who are in the chat is having a good Sabbath and a good week as well.
Khan. I don't know if it went down. All right.
Yeah, Lenzo Lot said, I knew you'd say the title during the lesson. Corrections start in-house first.
Correction starts in-house first.
That's a good one.
I like that one.
I like that one.
Correction starts in-house first. All right, let's get some more from the people.
Brianna, she says, lesson title, How to Operate in Love.
How to operate in love.
That's a good one.
That's a good one as well, too. Khan.
Shalorio, beautiful, beautiful lesson.
Shabbat Shalom, sister Shalorio.
I have to get the Studio Pigrapher.
Yes. I mean, you can download, not down, well, I didn't say download. You could go on Amazon.com. Oh, you can download it too. I guess if you could put the link up in the chat. But you could also buy one from Amazon. Yeah, you want to make sure the translation you get is the R.H. Charles translation. That's, he's a great scholar who the Most High was able to use to interpret a lot of our scriptures. Not interpret, but to translate, I should say. Excuse me.
All right. Latour Lot says Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom,
brother. Great lesson. Can you give me a quick breakdown of Lamentations 4 and 8?
Let's go there. Lamentations 4, verse 8.
Hold on, let me get there. It's a short chapter, right?
Yeah.
It's the first time I can't find it. Just give me a few.
Right after Jeremiah.
Oh, okay. Lamentations 4 and 8. Their visage is blacker than a coal. They are not known in the streets. Their skins cleaveth to their bones. It is withered. It is become like a stick.
Read the next verse.
Verse 9. They that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger. For these pine away, stricken through for wants of the fruits of the field.
So this is basically talking. If you read from the top, it's talking about like the sanctuary of the people. Well, I don't want to give you the wrong interpretation. Look at verse 2. Look at that. Because some people would like to bring out this scripture to say that this is talking about the children of Israel. This is how we know that they're black. But this is like a similitude of how they, I guess, of their sins being upon them that makes them look black. Because black was similar is like is like they use the word black to symbolize darkness and or
representation of mourning.
Of mourning, right? Go ahead.
All right, verse 2. The precious sons of Zion, comparable to fine gold, how are they esteemed as earthen pitchers, the work of the hands of the potter.
This is talking about how the children of Zion has been fashioned by the Most High. Go ahead.
Verse 3. Even the sea monsters drew out the breast. They give suck to their young ones. The daughter of my people is become cruel.
You see that? Go ahead.
Like the ostriches in the wilderness.
So this is talking about the condition of the children of Israel. Jump down to verse 6.
Verse 6. For the punishment of the iniquity of the daughter of my people is greater than the punishment of the sin of Sodom.
So you see that? So now the Most High is representing how great the sin of the children of Israel was. See that? Go ahead.
That was overthrown as in a moment, and no hand stayed on her. Verse 7. Her Nazarites were purer than snow. They were whiter than milk. They were more ruddy in body than rubies. Their polishing was of sapphire.
Go ahead.
Verse 8. Their visage is blacker than a coal. They are not known in the streets. Their skin cleaveth to their bones. It is withered. It is become like a stick.
So you see that? So that's talking about how the Most High was looking at the children of Israel through their sins. Right? They became, like, in the beginning, he said that they were more precious than fine gold. They was made like fine gold. And after that, through their sin, it became worse than how Sodom and Gomorrah was. That's how greatly, and this is the lamentation of, how the prophet was lamenting of how the people was destroyed. This is how they became. That's what it's talking about. Hopefully that answered your question. Where we at?
Oh, no. We're down after Shaloria. No,
Okay.
after Later a lot. Let's keep doing that. I hope I don't butcher your name. It's Alganona Dennis?
Alganona.
Alganona. Hey sister. I'm new. I'm Betty's little sister.
Oh,
All right,
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom,
sister.
Sister Betty's sister.
I enjoyed the video.
Khan, all praise to the Most High. You're always welcome to come in on the Sabbath. And hopefully we get to meet you one day.
Yeah, all
Shalom,
praises to
sister.
the Most High.
All praises.
All right. I think you skipped and you scrolled down
It's
a little.
kind of jumping.
Oh, sorry about that.
Okay.
All right.
here.
All right. White Knight, Shabbat Shalom, brothers. Greetings, Truth of Jacob. As we go down, our brother Levi
Shabbat
Clark.
Shalom, White Knight.
Shabbat Shalom, Levi
Shabbat
Clark.
Shalom, Ak.
And welcome to the young princess.
Oh, okay. He's welcoming her.
He's welcoming her. Shabbat Shalom by Yashar Yawat. Shabbat Shalom, brother.
Shabbat Shalom, Ak.
He says, great lesson. Levi says, great lesson also. And our brother Yashar Yawat's comments, and I think he's putting up a title for the lesson. It says, love in Christ versus the spirit of error.
Love in Christ versus the spirit of error.
That's a good one, too. I like that one.
That's a great one, too. We got to tally it up.
All right.
Well, go ahead.
You guys are giving great titles, by the way.
Definitely.
All right. Levi Clark comments and says, everything the scripture said was relevant and played out before my eyes, before man.
Khan.
Now we go down. Casey Boston comments says, Shalom.
Shalom, Casey.
Shabbat Shalom. He said, I miss you guys. Excellent lesson via Mickey.
Oh, Khan, all praises to the Most High. Shabbat Shalom, Sister Mickey as well.
Okay.
I think, we missed.
Oh, we missed a couple people. Sorry about that, guy.
Jumping, yeah.
I go to Betty Ralph comments. It says Shabbat Shalom. Great lesson as always. Shabbat Shalom, sister.
Shabbat Shalom, Sister Betty.
All right, Lascelles Williams. Shabbat Shalom, family.
Shabbat Shalom, Ak.
It says great lesson. Every time we revisit the topic, a new message comes across. I'm jacking the title to be Fundamental Foundation for Fruitful Living. Fuego.
Yeah, that's hot too.
So I'm like, I like that.
Okay, fundamental foundation for fruitful living.
A lot of F's.
I like that. And he drops the mic. Con. I like that.
Let's go down. Ebony Harris.
Ebony Harris, Shabbat Shalom, Ebony Harris.
Shabbat Shalom, Ebony Harris. She says, Shabbat Shalom, family. I'm new in the live chat, but I watch with Twan Lambo all the time. All right.
Con, all praise to the Most High.
All praise to the Most High. Continue to support us. Tell a friend.
Definitely.
We trying to definitely get this truth out here.
All praise to the Most High. Thank you for coming in on the Sabbath with us.
All praises. I think you. All right, you at White Knight. All right, okay.
Yeah.
All right. White Knight comments and says, I wanted to share the podcast I started that I mentioned a few weeks ago. It is on Spreaker under the username Rise Podcast. I can't put URLs in the chat.
I mean, I guess I'll write this down then.
All right. Thank you for sending us that information, White Knight. We really do appreciate it.
Definitely. I remember I said I didn't want to check out his podcast.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, you could keep reading.
So thank you for that information. We'll definitely be in touch. All right, Yeshaya Watts puts that Jenny comment. Thank you so much for this lesson. Blessings and love to all the family, online and offline. I have a few ideas for lessons titles. All praises. Thank you, sister. Thank you for coming
Shabbat
in.
Shalom, sister. Jenny.
Let's go down. It says Latour Lot says the water.
Oh, okay, for the breakdown.
All right.
All praise to the Most High.
Yashar Yawatz, Jenny comment part 2. We have to be merciful, but this we know, we are the children of the Most High. Let's make Abba/Father a higher proud.
Okay, so those are the 3 suggestions that you have for the title. All right.
I like we have to be merciful.
We have to be merciful. Yeah, I like that one too. It's a tough one, man. All right, so anybody in the room got anything they want to say on the ad before we make a decision? Wait, what do you think?
I have something to add.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's the same for me that when I come, there's always something new that I've never learned before. And I've been trying to do this walk for a while. But when you brought out Romans 13 verse 9, and it went over the 10 commandments.
Right.
And then, of course, you start off with walking in love and the practices. And when we have this, and it's really true, because when you do have this spirit of love and you operate and everything you do, it doesn't leave room for Satan.
Right.
Because Satan is evil and he doesn't like nothing good.
And he's trying to do battle.
Exactly.
Right.
So it's good that you brought that up, that we should always be mindful that when we are not operating in love, we allow things to happen.
Right.
And then
True.
your whole body falls out of whack. You know what I mean?
Very
You start to
true.
feel that.
As well as physical. You know?
It's draining.
It's draining. But you brought out Romans 13 verse 9 and the 7 spirits of deceit.
Yeah.
And I was wondering in Proverbs 6 verse 16.
Proverbs
7
6 and
things
16.
that is detestable
Right.
to the Most High.
Proverbs.
What a balance. That's a balance.
Yeah.
Right? Because when you those things that is the that the Most High doesn't like, lying tongue.
And the
Part of the
proudful look.
deceit.
Yeah, that's part of the
Yeah.
spirit of deceit.
Exactly.
Con, yeah.
So I thought that was something good to be mindful of.
All praises to the Most High. Definitely.
You don't do that.
Right.
You are not pleasing your Creator.
Exactly.
Because He clearly said these are the things that are detestable.
Mm-hmm.
And you should always try to walk that.
Exactly.
It's a practice.
It is a practice.
It is.
But it's a mindset. Like, you know, people like to hang on the fact that, you know, they feel like they can't change because that's who they are. Of course that's who you are.
Right.
Because you allow those spirits to deal with you for a long
For a long
time.
time, but-
So now you feel like that's you. So, you know,
But creation, it says we are created in the image.
of exactly.
We allow the worldly things to let us move away from the image of how we created. And
Yeah.
so these teachings and the daily reading of His Word will bring us back to Him.
Exactly.
I thought it was really nice because this is really good.
All praise to the Most High.
Spirit of deceit.
Praise to the Most High.
And that word, rapacity,
Yeah.
you know,
Let me see if I
that's
can get
horrible.
Yeah.
Say it again.
That word.
Rapacity.
What was it
It's
in
not
the
a good word at all. stealing and
Yeah.
getting some
Really?
profit and ripping off your fellow man.
Yeah, and people have that. People just have that innate nature to just want to do that.
Exactly.
Like you'll see somebody in a store, and like they'll leave their phone. The first instinct somebody be like, yo, I'm about to take that joint.
Yeah, you know.
Not many people would return the phone.
Right,
Like,
right.
and I had a situation like that too. Like, I walked into a store, and a guy skipped me. It's like he was racing me to the door, and he skipped me. And I was like, all right, whatever. I'll just let him go because he's in a rush. And he's ordering, and then when he left his phone right there on the counter. So I ordered, and I took his phone. I ordered my stuff. And then before he left, I was like, you left it. He's like, oh my God, thank you so much.
But look at that.
You see that? But what if I was holding on to the fact that he skipped me? I'm like, nah, you know what? Nah, I'm taking this.
Again, these practices.
Yeah,
It's
you gotta understand that.
Randy, yesterday I called you, right? I came home yesterday and I was taking out the garbage from the backyard, and there was an Amazon box in my backyard, right? Opened up, and I looked in there, and it was a big bottle of Castile soap. I was like,
Oh.
"Boy, Randy." I'm like, Randy,
What's
look
this?
at this test.
Mm.
Here it is. It's, the delivery guy probably got the address mixed up. 1156
think it's right here.
to 1155.
All right.
That's probably.
And I want to tell you, if you're not into the teachings,
You'll just live out. You operate.
I'll take
On
it
your
'cause
flesh,
it came
yeah.
in my yard.
Yeah.
I didn't steal it. The guy bring it in my yard.
Mhm.
True.
You know? Yeah, but of course,
Mhm.
the teaching, and you have to be mindful.
All right.
Definitely.
So and the guy was very happy.
That you brought it back.
Yeah.
That's
See,
good.
See that?
Brought it over to him.
Mhm. All praise to the Most High for that.
It's good though to be under the teaching of the word.
All praise to the Most High.
Praise to
Definitely.
the Most High. All right. Levi Clark comments. He said, if anyone needs books, you can email them a bunch. I have them saved on my computer. Just put your email in here or the group chat. Yashar Watts comments.
Okay. So the brother got a lot of PDFs.
All right, that's good. Yashar Watts comments. It says, all praise to the Most High. It's always a blessing to be edified and take something to apply to each other and every Sabbath. All praise to Ahaya in the name of Yeshaya, Hazak in your choir voice.
All praise to the Most High. Definitely.
All praises to the Most High. Do agree. White Knight comments. It says, I would like to get your books.
You could just I guess
Yeah.
that was a
All right.
yeah.
All right. Yeshua Watts says, lessons that builds character for me is priceless and a blessing. All praises, brother. Same
All right.
here. Your username.
I guess that's about it.
Yeah.
All right, so we got to wrap it up. It's getting late. We want to thank you guys all for coming in on the Sabbath. Allowing us to build and grow as a body, and allowing to hear, or allowing the Most High to speak to us through the scriptures, and being able to edify ourselves and become better people for Christ when He returns, right? So like I say every week, you guys could have been anywhere on the Sabbath, but you guys are here with us, and we want to thank you guys for that, for coming in and building with us, and learning, and enduring and toiling with us, and the Most High sees each and every one of our efforts. We want to thank you guys for your continual support and what you guys do for the body of Christ Kingdom, with your donations, your support, your comments, everything. Everything helps support this work. So we really appreciate you guys, and we love you guys, and we thank you. And to our new subscribers, we want to thank you for subscribing, and stay tuned for more content, music, drama, everything that we have to offer for you guys. We do it for you guys and for the edification of the saints. So we want to bid you all Godspeed until next week. And those of you guys who know, those of you who know already, about your obligations for the Passover, please do so in a timely manner. And with that, we're going to bid you all Godspeed. Until next week, we want to say Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, family. Have a good
Shalom.
week. Have a good Sabbath.
Kwam Yasharala.
Kwam Yasharala.
All right.